And joining us now is Liz Cheney, who is challenging U.S. Senator Mike Inslee for his seat in the Senate. Good to see you. And I know on Veterans Day here, and you've been at some Veterans Day activities. If it wasn't for our veterans, we might not be sitting here right now, right, Liz?
No, listen, absolutely. I mean, every single day we ought to be sure that we're thanking our veterans and their families. You know, they're the reason that we're able to live in freedom. They're the reason that we're able to experience the rights and the privileges that we have. And it's always an honor for me whenever I have the opportunity to say a special thank you to our nation's veterans.
Are you a Tea Party candidate?
You know, I am a supporter of the Tea Party. I think that the Tea Party has done a very important service to the nation in a number of ways. I think they put fiscal issues front and center. They've really sent a message that the people that we elect need to make sure they remember that they vote. They work for the people who sent them to Washington. And so I think that the Tea Party has done a lot of good for us. I think that as a party, you know, we're going through a period of turmoil now, which frankly...
Civil War, maybe?
Well, I wouldn't go that far, Bob. But I think, look, we've lost 2 national presidential elections, and if we weren't, frankly, going through some internal soul-searching in our party, I'd be worried about it. But I think it's a healthy process. It's good. I think it helps bring a new generation to the fore, and we just need to get ourselves unified and moving in the right direction together before we get to 2016.
Liz, you said, I've heard you say, read that you said it's okay to be at times an obstructionist, and how do you accomplish anything by being an obstructionist?
Well, you know, what I've said is that when you're talking about a president as radical as this one, who's trying to do things like take over 1/6 of our economy with Obamacare, who's imposing Dodd-Frank on people, which is killing our community banks, whose EPA and BLM are so out of control that they're every single day violating the private property rights of farmers and ranchers all across Wyoming. Our ag industry is at risk. Our energy industry is at risk. The president's agenda is a radical one, and I believe that stopping him from imposing, you know, this vision of sort of moving towards a European social democracy is an obligation. I think we've got to stop it. Now, we all believe in the importance of compromise for the good of the nation. There's no question about that. But I also believe the West, and you know, rule number 10 is know where to draw the line, and rule number 9 is some things just aren't for sale. So you got to go into these situations being willing to negotiate, accept, right up to the point where your freedom is at stake. And I believe, and I would never negotiate, for example, on something like Obamacare. When the president first walked into the room back in 2009 proposing this massive takeover of our health care system, you know, Senator Inslee was one of only 3 Republicans willing to negotiate on that. I think that was a mistake. I think you've got to know when and where to negotiate, but you shouldn't capitulate or compromise on your values.
You oppose the Marketplace Fairness Act. Now, Senator Inslee is a sponsor of that proposed legislation, which would kind of level the playing field between retailers and online internet retailers. Right now, Wyoming citizens don't have to pay a tax for most places if they buy online. So if they buy something from a retailer in Washington State or California or Virginia or Michigan, those retailers get special privilege, special treatment over the mom and pop retailers here in Wyoming. Is that fair?
You know, what I'd like to see us do, first of all, I think you've got to decide whether or not, you know, you believe the government needs more money or whether you think people ought to be able to keep more of their own money. I fall into that second category. I think people ought to be able to keep more of their own money. I think one of the big problems we have today is we're all taxed way too much, and we got to look for ways to reduce people's tax burdens. I know there was a bill proposed in the legislature, for example, that would allow those small businesses, those mom and pop stores, to keep a percentage of the state tax that they're collecting. I think that's a very good idea. I think it's important to let them keep more of their own money. The problem I've got with the Marketplace Fairness Act is I think the bill itself is misguided. It imposes 9,600 new jurisdictions that can audit these internet businesses. Secondly, at the last minute as the bill was going through, Harry Reid said, you know what, let's make every Indian tribe in the whole country a state for the purposes of this bill. I think it's unenforceable, and I have a fundamental problem with Wyoming's senator looking for ways to take money out of the pockets of the people of Wyoming, particularly, you know, when it sends it to states like places like California, New York. I think what we ought to be doing is helping Main Street. We got to help our bricks and mortar businesses, but we ought to do it by reducing their tax burden. I just don't fundamentally believe that we ought to be looking for ways to tax anybody more.
Okay, I want to set the record straight on gay marriage here. There was a commercial, and I think there was some confusion as to what your stand is on gay marriage versus same-sex couples. Your sister even said, Mary, who said your stance on gay marriage is, quote, I want to quote her dead wrong. She posted on Facebook.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. Number one, let me say about that ad, I think that Senator Enzi's friends and supporters who are coming in from out of state and running ads like that, which really, that ad is scurrilous. And I really hope that Senator Enzi, frankly, has the decency to stand up and call on those people to stop running it. It's a gross distortion of my record, a gross distortion of my view on this issue, and it's beneath the people of Wyoming. And when you've got a three-term sitting senator whose supporters are running that kind of garbage on Wyoming, I think Senator Enzi owes it to the American people and the people of Wyoming to say stop. We don't operate that way in Wyoming. That's not how politics work.
But you oppose gay marriage.
For the record, I oppose gay marriage. And the ad is talking about, the clip that they run talks about my view in terms of benefits for same-sex couples, which I don't have any issue with that. I think that's fine. We shouldn't discriminate against people. But again, that's, you know, I hope that this campaign doesn't go that way, and I really believe that it is beneath Senator Enzi and his supporters, and he ought to stand up and ask them to stop it.
We're way over time, but we want to get you back and talk some more. Okay?
I'd love to come back. Thanks so much, Bob. Appreciate it.